Today is Wednesday, April 29th, 2020. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is our recap of Winners at War, Week 12.
This episode is titled Friendly Fire. We actually got two castaways saying that in the course of the episode. First, we hear it from Nick, and then second, we hear it from Jeremy. And it seemed to us like maybe it was intended to be attributed to Jeremy. Maybe they didn't realize that Nick had said it too in passing.
His was used more in a sentence. And Jeremy was more just saying friendly fire. I don't know. That's how we took it.
In any case, it's time for a fight. It's after Tribal. It's night 28.
This was a one-day episode.
It was. It all takes place.
Wow. Day 29.
On the night of 28, which we'll go over here just briefly, and then the rest all happens on 29, like you're saying. When they get back, Ben says, "Big move, Tony. Well played." And Jeremy is still frustrated with Ben. "Grow up, Ben." Ben's not talking to him. He's got no time for Jeremy. Sarah says it was all grimy. It was a grimy move. She tells herself to keep her cool, and then she blows up.
She loses it.
Yeah. You can see it. From the way it was edited, it appears that the others hear them arguing. So that when Sarah and Tony are Tony's trying to discuss it. Sarah is berating him pretty much nonstop.
Well, he might just give her a minute to rant before he tries to talk to her. Because, it's fresh. She's really ticked, so.
Do you think they heard the part at the end? I didn't initially hear it. You brought my attention to it when we were discussing it after watching the video where Tony tells her that he has an idol. It's okay.
Yeah, I couldn't believe you didn't hear that.
My question is, do you think the others that heard him arguing, that appear to heard him arguing, do you think they knew or they heard that part?
I don't know, but they could have.
Sarah assures Tony that she'll let this all go until she gets voted out. Then she's never going to speak to him again.
If she gets voted out, that's right. Don't ever speak to me again.
She's willing to quash it, unless.
Well, she seemed to have let it go after a little while, but really, this being a one-day episode, she didn't have a whole lot of time to process. Let's be real. That's not much time.
Tony tries to make amends with Ben, too. He tells Ben, "I'm with you 100%. And he also shares with Ben that he has an idol.
Well, yeah, he's going to tell everyone, so it doesn't seem to matter whether it was overheard or it wasn't, because he's telling everybody. I got an idol. I got an idol.
So he's told Sarah and Ben at this point once they get back from tribal council.
Surely he told Nick, too.
Ben says, "I don't know if I trust him." And then a bird, or a bat, poops on Tony. And Ben declares, "That's karma." That's a nice way to wrap that segment up. Oh, okay, on to our one day. It's day 29. Tony tells us he's got an itch to get up in the spy nest. So this was all for nothing. It was all for naught.
Well, we didn't see it reap a thing.
Yeah. Sarah knows he's there, so Sarah comes to the well, and she says, "Yeah, I can't see you. It's working."
He still says, "Sarah's my partner." So in his mind,
Cops R Us is still on, and she too says, "I got his back." But if he goofs this up, she's gonna have to vote him off. Jeremy asks Ben, "You want to talk?" Ben says, "Nope." That really got nothing for you. And then Jeremy declares to Kim that Ben is a child. It's season 40 and he's never seen anything like this. This refrain we get over and over again. Never seen anything like this.
Yeah. Well, Ben, has said, I can't beat Jeremy, and I want him out because I can't beat him.
And he's going to say it many more times over the course of this episode.
Well, he's not getting his way. That's for sure.
There's a hint. There's a message being delivered to him.
I would say so, yes.
He is not receptive, though. Kim's got it. She's got the thread. She's not keen on getting rid of Jeremy. She would prefer to see Tony go.
Yep.
And prefer Tony over Sarah, she tells us. And then we get a montage with Kim going to several people and saying, yep, I know it's risky, but we got to let Tony go. And Michelle's on board, and Nick's on board. Only
because Kim thinks she can work with Sarah better.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the extra clip, they had showed her comforting Sarah and them talking and hugging it out and all that kind of stuff.
About being good people in the midst of a game that makes you go bad.
So she feels like she has more connection with her.
Mm-hmm. You think that's it? That's the core of it? The social part is paying off for Sarah?
I don't know if it's paying off for Sarah, but I think Kim thinks it's paying off for her. Of course, she may not think that now, but... Okay.
Michele is 100% on board. She declares Tony has to go. They need to gain a little control and take out Tony. Cut to Tony eating a coconut bowl full of rice.
It was our girl Denise talking about it. We bring Kim in, get Tony out, we get a little control back. I'm thinking, yeah, you go, girl.
Time to go over to Edge of Extinction for another endurance challenge. What did you think about this one?
I'm sure it was very long and hard for them. It looked tough and it looked dangerous over all those slippery rocks.
Over 2.5 hours they showed us.
Yeah. So that was good on them that with no more food than they've had, that they had enough energy to pull that out. That's not an easy feat because they talk about when they're that lack of food that they just don't have hardly any energy to get up and walk out to the water. So I don't know how they pull that out of their hats. And especially Natalie, who's been out there the longest, though maybe she and Parvati have been eating more peanut butter than we knew.
Could be.
That might be paying off for those challenges. That's not a bad theory.
Mm-hmm.
Spend a little bit to get the energy for that kind of stuff to get more tokens.
Indeed. So the challenge is there are 20 coconuts for each person there on Edge of Extinction at the opposite end of the island. And the first 6 to bring back 20 of them one at a time are going to earn 2 fire tokens.
2 tokens each.
That means that 5 people will get nothing. So it's a mad dash at the beginning, and Rob's out to an early lead, first to the coconuts, and then he says, well, I better slow this down.
Yeah, I think his body said that.
Think it let him know, gave him a little clue.
Said, oh. Yeah,
I don't want to be setting the pace, he tells us.
Now I'll let somebody else do that. And I didn't think Ethan or Adam was going to make it at all.
They were both shown to be struggling mightily.
Right off the bat, yeah.
Tyson thought he had it. He was going to finish no problem, and then he ends up noticing the girls are way faster. Natalie and
those girls, and
Sophie.
Natalie's passing me. She's lapping me. Of course, he said she'd lapped everybody twice, but that's...
Both of them, actually.
Oh, yeah, he said Natalie and Sophie.
Mm-hmm.
So that surprised me. Sophie, she must be a runner, too.
Rob ends up falling and cracking his elbow, and he tells us he is done. What a sad, sad moment on the Edge of Extinction. He knows he's not going to win those 2 fire tokens at this point.
All right, so first back, Natalie gives a little push just so she can come in first ahead of Sophie.
She tickled herself. Said, I saved some in reserve so I could beat Sophie.
And that was a pure ego thing.
Then we see Yule make it in third, Tyson and Parvati finish together, and then it looks like there's a bit of a race between Danny and Wendell, and Danny turns it on, puts her kick on, and you can see she's just behind him until she slips. Yeah, so she ends up not getting it. Wendell gets the last of the 2 fire tokens available, finishing 6th. Rob keeps going. What'd you think about that choice?
It was his choice to make. I wouldn't have.
No quitting in Rob. That's what we got. So certainly can honor that.
Why? It's just a waste of energy at this point, and you could injure yourself. You've already hurt yourself.
Matter of pride
Why
for him.
keep pushing?
Well, he was managing it.
I just disagree. But whatever he wants, it's all up to him.
Cut back to the castaways. They're active in the game, and Jeremy's talking to Sarah and saying, Ben is not talking to me. He's telling anyone to listen that Ben is not talking to him. And then we cut to Nick, and he's really happy that all this is going on, and there's all this chaos, and people are fighting, and that's when he tells us that with the friendly fire going on, this is all working to his favor, and now he needs to pick his group to make it to the end with.
Yeah, he was kind of listening to Tony and Sarah arguing again.
Yep.
Out on the beach. I
she
guess
definitely wasn't done.
She wasn't done yet.
Yeah.
She seemed to be by the time they were at the well, but I guess she had a little more to get out. And to give Tony his due, he let her.
We see Michele and Nick and Denise talking about a possible final three, and then we see Nick pivoting and talking to Kim and Michele and talking about how they need to get rid of Tony, and there's another possible final three that Nick could be a part of. Nick tells us that Jeremy, Sarah, and Tony, the big players, have to go.
Then starts the idol hunt.
Yeah, Sarah's telling Tony, look, Sophie's idol's going to get replaced. I didn't think it would since it was pre-merge, but
you were wrong.
Things are different in season 40. I was indeed wrong. It is back out there. And they head out looking for it. Denise is looking. They ended up showing just about everybody looking for it. And Ben and Tony are looking together for some reason.
Because they're buds, you know. And Tony tells us he completely trusts Nick. Or he tells Ben that. No, I completely trust Nick. I thought, ooh.
Ben ends up telling Tony that Kim wants to make a move to take him out. And in the process of their discussions and searching, Ben finds a hidden immunity idol, but Tony sees him find it. Ben tried to hide it, but Tony busted him.
Tony's like, dude, I'm watching you.
I see that, he says.
Right behind you.
Come on, Ben.
Why would you try to hide that from me?
Ben tells us he was caught gold-handed. He had that idol. He just didn't feel comfortable with Tony.
That's just a gut reaction, isn't it?
You know what the real gut reaction was when he picked Tony up. Not once, but twice.
Okay, that was
celebrate.
Just weird. That was bizarre.
You can tell Tony's not used to being picked up. Tony's not used to being picked up and carried at a gallop, which he did.
He was running.
Ben, you're back.
With him.
Ben, you're going to hurt your foot. Ben, you could slip and fall.
How does Ben have all this energy after all this time out there?
It's amazing
they must be eating okay.
Finding a hidden immunity idol can do for you.
Yeah, but I felt like that had to be Hammond for the cameras, because why else would you pick Tony up and run with him?
Yeah, and how many people have done that to Tony Vlachos?
Yes.
That was hilarious.
I'm sure that's what he was thinking.
Yeah.
Hey,
carried like a child.
This will be a moment. They'll air this.
Yep.
And they did. But I'm still left going, why?
Time for the community challenge on day 29. It's a classic endurance one where you have to hold your hand above your head, risking dumping a bucket of water on yourself.
But they've made it harder. You got to stand on that perch.
Yeah, Probst tells us the first one in season 3, they went over 6 hours, and then they made it harder where you got to balance on the perch. And they've made it harder still this time where you can't use your supporting arm to brace the one you're holding above your head. You got to do it solely with your arm up there.
Yep. I imagine that's because Jeff gets tired of standing there hour after hour.
Well, if they're going to do the boring endurance, stand in one place type of challenge, I appreciate them going quicker. So.
Yep. And we find out another surprise that there will be 2 immunity necklaces again.
Mm-hmm. One for the men, one for the women.
And 2 tokens for each winner.
Why do you think they did that? Trying to make sure that we don't get a gender blindside?
It's fair for both parties, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
The men and the women.
Due to the physical differences?
The physical, yeah.
I guess that's possible. That's the most likely answer. 5 minutes in, and Ben is trying to negotiate for food, but Probst says, no way, Ben. A little early on that one.
He had it down, too, and even he wanted peanut butter and cookies. Mm-hmm. And they added him one batter and included chocolate. Mm-hmm. But Ben was no longer in the running.
Jeremy ends up being the first one to dump the water on his head. And shortly after that, Ben ends up wobbling a little and then reached out and touched the structure.
Yeah, and he could have tried to lie his way out of it, but Jeff thought he touched it. And when he asked him, Ben admitted to it. Jeff thanks him for his integrity.
Thank your brother for your integrity.
You could tell he kind of wanted to go, no, okay, I touched it.
Sarah ends up dropping, and Nick tries to cut a deal with Tony. I'll give you a token. Tony says, no, I really want to try for 3 in a row. And Nick responds with, I'll do my best to beat you.
And Tony's like, that's good.
That's good. Brother. We're all good.
No problem.
So Kim, Denise, and Michele are facing off, and they're 15 minutes in. Now it's time to bring out the temptation. As you mentioned, Probst has got a big plate full of peanut butter and then chocolate with peanuts in it. And I think it was on a bed of marshmallows. That's what it looked like to me. And then cookies and milk. So you could sugar bomb yourself right on out of this challenge. And Kim did quite promptly. And Michele followed too. Really surprised when Kim did that.
But the real surprise was Nick slipping in last minute. Tony, you give me a token? Yeah.
Step down.
I'm stepping down. Well, then Tony wins.
Right.
Therefore, also, Denise wins. They were supposed to be able to eat till the end of the game. Well, they all stepped down. It is the end of the game. They let them eat a little bit while they were still, it looked like they let them sit down and eat some while they were, putting the necklaces on the 2 winners.
Nick's decision to quit really put the kibosh on having any shot at a blindside on Tony. This was probably the most disappointing one. Kim shouldn't have, but she did, and then Nick did, and Tony was convinced that Nick was going to step down anyway, but Nick seems to frame it as a loss of focus at one point also.
I don't believe that Nick really wanted to vote Tony out, or he wouldn't. He would have stayed really focused on beating him. He was the only man left. So that was totally out of the running.
That plan
if
went
Nick didn't stay up there.
Out the window when Nick quit. Yep.
Though I think it was probably more that he didn't think he could last much longer. He wasn't going to beat Tony, and he'd rather have the food.
So Denise wins individual immunity, 2 fire tokens, and so does Tony, but he owes one of those fire tokens to Nick.
Well, he owes the other one to somebody, too, so if he paid the others back.
Back at Koru there on day 29, time to celebrate a little, except Kim tells us that their plan was foiled by Tony.
Well, really by Nick, but okay.
And Tony and Sarah were talking, and Tony just taps Tony. Sarah taps Tony at one point during their discussion. She throws a punch at his arm, and he says, ow, Sarah.
Ow.
You got heavy hands.
That hurt. She said, that hurt. And he's like, yes, that hurt.
Nick tells us that he tells Ben he wants to prove his loyalty to Ben, and he wants to help him vote Jeremy out. But Michelle's not so keen on this idea.
Well, you usually think of those two being on the same page. So that was a little bit surprising. I just had a feeling maybe that's what Nick wanted all along. And he needed, I don't know. I don't 100%. I'd like to be able to ask him about that. Mm-hmm. Because it just seems strange that he wouldn't.
We see Ben talking to Tony, and he tells him they wanted you out. Kim was leading the charge if you hadn't won immunity, and that really sets Tony's gears in motion. So, well, if she's coming after me, there's something I need to do. It isn't just easy slam dunk, vote Jeremy out. Tony's got a new plan if Kim's targeting him.
Well, and how did you feel about Nick when Tony approached him? His response?
He completely flubbed it. That was horrible. Yeah. I don't know. He pulled a Ben again. He's just not. Tony knew, too. He says, Nick's lying to my face.
He is not telling me the truth. When their eyes start looking other places, looking up, going, let me think.
When his ability to talk slows
or
way
remember,
down.
Well, let me think.
Yeah.
Ben says
really weak.
you and Kim, and he's like, oh yeah, there was 2 of the women there.
Kim
Let's
was
see,
talking
who was
about
that?
it earlier. Yeah, that was really bad.
Yeah, that was.
Nick's basically paving his way to the end as a goat with plays like that.
Well, and Tony talks to Sarah, and she thinks, look, let's just vote for Jeremy. But you need to talk to Ben because we need to keep Ben with us. So let's just do what Ben wants, vote out Jeremy, and you go talk to Ben. But can Tony just do that? What Sarah said, no. Tony can't do that. Well, yeah, you still want Jeremy, but okay. Even offers him a fire token, so he must have had one left
to listen to his pitch.
To listen to his pitch. I want to know whether he paid him or not.
Ben's he's not hearing it, though. He says no on Kim. He wants to vote out Jeremy. Jeremy is the threat to win that needs to go as far as Ben's concerned.
Yep, he's adamant on Jeremy, so Tony goes and tells Jeremy and then asks Jeremy to go talk to Ben. See if he can convince him to trust him and vote Kim out, which Jeremy does. You know, he's trying to get Ben to trust him again. And
tries to, but Ben's not committing, he tells us. And just before that, we see Michele talking to Jeremy, and she offers him her 50-50 advantage because she's worried that they're coming after Jeremy, and that's one of her, from the beginning, alliances that she's willing to protect. That's part of her social game.
Yes, and so Jeremy didn't get the answer that he wanted from Ben, so he takes Michele's 50-50 flip.
Yep.
Just in case he feels he needs to use it.
And that's when Jeremy gives his friendly fire line.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, why aren't you selling it to Jeremy?
Making some tokens
you paid
back.
4 tokens for that, girl.
Yeah.
Why aren't you at least trying to get something if he uses it?
There's an economy here. Well,
if he doesn't use it, give it back to you. But if he uses it, he owes you whatever tokens he has.
Some social currency was really what she was more interested in rather than the fire tokens.
That's true, but come on.
Time for Tribal Council on night 29. Probst asks, after that calm Tribal Council last time, what happened? And Denise says, that was like bad family therapy when we got back to camp.
Yep.
Kim describes it as a reset each day. You're starting over. And Tony says, no. It's minute by minute. It's not day by day. This game's moving way faster than that, Kim.
Denise also called it mass chaos.
Probst outs Michele and Kim and Nick dropping for the chocolate. Michele says that her and Kim immediately regretted it. But Probst wants to make sure the jury knows that they quit for food. There's always a cost for doing that.
And Parvati reacted. It's like, Kim, why?
Yeah, she was disappointed in her. Now it's time for the whispering to start. We're going into another live tribal.
Yeah.
What did you think of this one? We went back and watched it twice to see if we could.
Yeah, because I was like,
sort of keep up.
What?
It wasn't clear. It's very.
It was too fast and furious for me to kind of try to take notes and keep up, and it was like we have to watch that again.
Everybody's checking with everybody else on how they're going to vote. Are things moving around? No.
Well,
yes,
I think
no, yes.
what happened was Kim got her spidey senses kicked in, and she started thinking, I'm not feeling good here.
You thought she might have heard her name because when Tony turned to Jeremy and Kim's name came up,
they were talking Kim, and then one said to the other, "We'll talk to
Ben."
And
Ben wasn't interested in voting for Kim.
No.
Yeah.
So I think she might have.
Sarah
thought she heard her name.
Sarah was getting really worried. She went over to talk to Tony and said, "Look, if it's coming at me, you need to play your idol for me." I thought, fat chance. I don't think he's going to do it.
Well, you were wrong. He was willing to. And even Ben was.
We do find out later. I'm not sure that Ben was. Ben was more concerned with whether or not he needed to play the idol to save himself in case they were coming for him.
Well, he said that to her. Do I need to play it? Do I need to?
Yeah, but he was about for him, not for her.
Oh, I didn't take it that way at all.
Ben didn't waste an opportunity there. He went to Jeremy and basically busted his chops saying, "You and Tony started all this." This is your fault.
Whispering and carried on.
Yeah. Sarah says she's peeking. She's had it. Denise says she's done. And she gives Jeremy the hand. She's like, talk to the hand.
Yes, she did.
That was a hard flex on that hand, too. It really upset him.
And she didn't even look around. You could tell he did not like that one bit.
No, he threatened her.
He did threaten her.
Sure? You're only safe for tonight.
That was you realize, no, it was more of an insult than that. You realize you're only safe tonight.
Did not like the hand.
So that questioned her intelligence. You realize, right, that you're only.
All right, so it finally settles down and they go to vote, and we do see one vote. Michele explains, you better play that 50-50, put it to good use, and she shows that she wrote Jeremy's name down.
You sure you want to do that?
Kim gives a very solid eye roll when Probe says he's gone to tally the votes. He asks if anybody wants to play a hidden immunity idol. Looks like at first there's no activity, and then Tony asks for a minute, and he checks, and then he ends up asking Sarah, do you feel good? Are you safe? And then he says he's going to play it for her, and then Sarah comes back and tells Tony, no, don't do it. All right, so he doesn't take what's potentially an immunity idol out of his bag. I don't think he ever physically showed it. And Jeremy turns to Tony and says, I'm going to do it. And he reaches in his pocket for the 50-50. He pulls something out. It's covered in a cloth, not sure. Everybody's not sure what it is. And Jeremy's frustrated.
We know.
He doesn't know what to do. He even screams out, ah! He's wrestling with the idea. Yeah.
Do I use it? Do I not use it?
Tony seemed to pacify him.
Yeah,
they talked a little bit and
believed he was safe.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sure at this point because Tony told Nick, oh, that's who he wanted somebody to tell Nick. I think it was Ben, and Ben said no, not telling Nick to vote for Kim. But Tony pulled Nick over and told Nick to vote Kim. But then Nick went back and told Sarah and whoever else.
Tony wanted him to vote for Kim.
Tony wanted him to vote for Kim, but I'm not. I'm voting Jeremy. Though I believe he voted
Not surprisingly,
Kim.
We didn't see everything because they want some mystery and want us to be surprised.
That is true.
Jeremy ends up pocketing the 50-50 advantage, and we get the votes coming in. There's a vote for Jeremy.
I thought he was going then.
A vote for Kim, another vote for Jeremy, another vote for Kim, and another vote for Jeremy, and I thought, too, that was the case. You and I both had Kim going, and then Kim catches up. It's 3-3, and then 4 for Kim and 5 for Kim, and Kim is voted out.
14th person out.
Kim declares, I can't believe they all did that, as she's exiting tribal council. And we see Boston Rob say, Tony's a boss.
Look, Tony's a boss.
He controlled all that, made that happen second week in a row.
It's making him way more dangerous. He sure, even everything the jury is seeing.
He appears to have quite the bit of clout with the jury, and you know they're talking about it because what else have they got to do?
That's true. And
Kim's got 3 fire tokens to deposit. She shares 1 with Sarah, 1 with Michele, and 1 with Denise.
She said the feeling of being voted out is weird, but she's not sorry she tried, though she does regret stepping down for the peanut butter. And of course, when she gets
bad move, yeah.
On the edge, I thought, Wendell, he's like,
can I smell your peanut butter?
You have peanut butter breath? Can I smell your breath?
So that must mean that the others did a good job of hiding theirs, Parvati and Natalie and the other 4 that have been munching on peanut butter.
Yeah, that was my first response was, haven't you been smelling peanut butter?
Tyson must have shared with him his technique for masking it.
So.
What do you think about this episode with Kim exiting?
It was excellent, as usual. I thought for sure Jeremy was going by the end.
The lot packed into one day, it did appear to be that way. It certainly
it felt
was
really,
a viable
I
possibility.
still feel like I'm spinning a little bit. So much.
Who do you think came out looking the best from
Tony?
that? Tony, no question again, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, his resume builds deeper and deeper. Who else is on the good side there? Sarah, Nick, Jeremy, and Ben.
Well,
although I think Ben is in a bit of a pickle.
I think Ben's in a pickle. He's all over the place, and nobody can trust anything he says because
nobody follows through on Ben's plans is probably the bigger thing.
He says yes to everyone.
He's got no story.
Yep, that's a good idea. That's a good plan. That is, Kim's making valid points. Yep.
I don't know that there's anything wrong with saying yes to everyone when you're having a discussion with them, but the bigger thing is that he's got no agency in the game, no traction.
But from early on in the game on the original tribe, Ben has gone and told everything that was told to him.
Yeah.
On both sides. He just go tell everybody everything.
Ben has been quite the oversharer this season.
Now, he is playing, and he's playing hard. And you can tell he wants to win badly. But I think it's going to trip him up.
Do you think it was... We know Michele voted for Jeremy, and we're reasonably confident Kim voted for Jeremy.
Yep, and
because she didn't vote for herself.
Denise, hand in the face, voted Jeremy.
Was it Denise or was it Ben who's been dead set on voting for Jeremy?
I think it was Denise.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ben did what Tony wanted and flipped over to Kim, and I think Nick did too.
Definitely Nick did.
I think those boys are still following Tony.
Mm-hmm.
They see him as being powerful, and I'll be surprised. The video's not out yet, or we would have gone in and watched it. But I am very anxious to see. But my money's on Denise, Michele. We saw Michele did, so her we know for sure. Kim we know did.
Mm-hmm.
Or because she couldn't vote for herself.
Question is, was it Ben or Denise?
Yes. Was it Ben, Denise, or Nick? Is my question.
I don't think Nick's really a question. I think he flipped around to vote for Kim.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think Jeremy.
Do you think that's going to come back to hurt Jeremy when he was threatening Denise?
I don't know. That would tick me off.
She's got no power in the game right now.
She ticked him off too.
So Tony's got a hidden immunity idol that's out. Lots of people know about it. Ben's got one. As far as we know, only Tony knows. So there's definitely power in those two, having those hidden immunity idols to Final Five. Kim didn't leave with anything. We're not sure where the 50-50 advantage is, if Jeremy's going to give it back or...
I'm pretty sure he will.
Seems likely, but you don't know. Michele certainly gave it to him. He was in possession of it to play it.
I still think he'll give it back.
Let's talk about the other thing that was just bugging us. The thing that's annoying us is that they had an easy job to do, and this is on the editors. They could have made it completely clear to us where everybody stood with fire tokens, and yet it's still a mystery. They did not include any fire token counts with anyone's name that we saw during the episode. So with all these fire tokens in play and wanting us to enjoy it and know about it, they've made it a mystery now. And we're not clear on where...
Because we're not 100% sure if Tony paid back. I'm pretty sure, and I'm counting, that he gave Nick the token that he borrowed from him and the token that he promised to give him from this win of immunity.
From Nick stepping down.
Yes, because he said to Nick, okay, now our debt's paid in full. We're clear.
I thought that was...
So I'm pretty sure he's been paid back.
I thought that was funny when Nick said, I'm feeling a little light here, Tony.
Well, that was my other thought.
Good way to bring it up.
Nick got his back.
Yeah, he did. He made sure he got paid.
Now, did he pay Ben or did he pay Jeremy back? Now, he could very well have paid one or the other. No, not pay Nick, and I'm pretty sure he paid Nick. So that's clear in my mind. But he could have paid one of them back, and then he still had a token left. Though he must have had one because he offered it to Ben. He offered Ben a token to listen to him.
Just to hear his pitch.
So if he was going to pay that one back to either Jeremy or Ben, he hadn't done it yet.
My point is I'm super disappointed in them not taking an opportunity. Could have used an extra video last week. Did not do it.
Yep.
Could have used the episode this week to include the fire token counts as people had their confessionals out on Edge of Extinction as well as the ones active in the game. Did not do it. So that's somebody really slacking off. If you're going to make this an element of the game, let us know what's going on with it.
And it's not hard. Did they
They've done it before.
Any? You know, I'm still assuming Natalie has 6, Parvati has 3, and then the ones that got this week, there was 2 added to those 6 people.
Can't do anything else because that's all the information you have.
That's right. That's all the information we have. So that's all we can put down for them because we don't know if they spent some. We don't know if Parvati or Natalie shared any. We don't know any of that.
The other conclusive thing we can say this week was that Natalie, Parvati, Yule, Wendell, Sophie, and Tyson all increased their count by 2.
By 2, yes.
Because they completed the endurance challenge on the OE.
What I said a minute ago.
All right, my rant about fire tokens is done. Who do you think is going to go next? How's the control of the game going to pivot?
Wow. Well, to me, Lord have mercy, I don't know. I don't know if they should still target Tony. They need to break Tony and Sarah up for sure. They are the tightest couple left in the game. Mm-hmm. That's a given. Tony's shown.
Do you think Tony's got enough social capital with Jeremy and Sarah?
He does have
and some of the others to keep that from happening? Sarah's right to be worried.
If they're smart, Sarah is right to be worried. If they're smart, they will stay focused. Somebody will take up the and continue with the let's get Tony out. But they may be afraid to. Jeremy may not want to. He may feel like, oh, Tony saved me. Tony told me how to.
He's not a dumb guy. Everybody out there knows the tally sheet and that Tony's way ahead.
Ben is so focused on Jeremy could beat him. I don't know that he's looking realistically at Tony. It's like, Ben, if Tony gets there, he wins.
What they need to do next time is make Tony play that idol for himself and take Sarah out and then take Tony out the next one. So that's my prediction, is that in the double episode that comes next week, Sarah and Tony get knocked out. It's going to be a 1-2 punch. They're going to wake up and make that happen. And Kim's going to wonder, why couldn't you have done that while I was there?
And yet, part of me feels like they could very well go, well, Ben's the easy vote, because nobody ever knows what Ben's doing. And he's on their side, too. Let's just take him out, because we can't trust him to be with us. Let's vote Ben. And Nick, Michele, Jeremy, and Denise could take Ben out then. And especially if Tony wins immunity.
Certainly that comes up in next time on Survivor. Let's go there real quick. There's something happening at Edge of Extinction. We hear, I think, Parvati screaming, "Go, Natalie!" And we see a couple of folks tearing off into the water. Not sure what's going on.
Kim and Rob run into the ocean, and Danny says it's like a bomb going off. So I don't know what that means. Something's going on.
Jeremy and Michele are talking about how they need to get rid of Ben, like you were just talking about, and it appears that Sarah and Tony are talking about the same thing.
That's right.
So next time on Survivor appears to want you to think that, as you were just saying, that they're going to get rid of Ben because of his erratic behavior.
Well, then that means they probably won't.
Well, there's definitely a problem with that plan, and it's that Ben has an idol right now, so he can frustrate that to some degree.
Yep.
Sarah tells Tony that we are sitting ducks. And so I think that's the case. And I think that's the logical next step is you need to clear the board there of Sarah and Tony.
Well, and Ben tells us right now, this war is the hardest mission yet. So
no doubt. He doesn't seem to have solid moves without his connection to Tony. He's ignoring Jeremy. He shut the door on a possibility, which is always bad play when you want at least have a conversation and entertain other people's ideas. You're not playing the best game you could.
Well, I'm pretty sure my choice is going to be between Ben, Sarah, and Tony. And the way Tony's been winning immunity,
and it is
he's had 3 in a row.
Yeah, it could be a 4th for him. It could be a 4th and a 5th for that matter, because it's a 2-hour episode, so we're expecting 2 eliminations.
I forgot that.
Even though I just said
we
in the next,
have,
next
I know,
one
but I
that Sarah
forgot
and Tony
2
were going to go.
vote-offs. That's the part I forgot. Wait a minute. We're going to have to choose 2 vote-offs for next week. Oh, my goodness.
How about
that makes it harder.
Speaking of that, how about a JSFL update?
Makes your save points harder, too. Oh, my goodness. I'm already stressing. Okay. Dakota 1107 is still in first with
Holding
58
firm.
points. 35 people lost their USB, and 140 people lost a save point. 101 people gained a vote-off point. Me, and you. My second vote-off of the season.
Nice. Good job.
Second vote-off. That's a good job. Okay. All right. For the side challengers, with 56 points, Jay Kindred is still in first. 53, Jeremiah with 50. We have Stacy. 48, Drew, Jonathan, and Parker. With 47, we have Brandon, Carl, Rebecca, and Slappy. With 46, Cold, Mike, and Justin. 45, Cameron and Jack. And with 42, we have Chris.
There we are. It's definitely a tough week. I think we had some people stumble there in the side challenge. Probably going to be a little bit of frustration. It is a much different game, as Cameron was discussing in the listener feedback show last week. Making picks versus making picks in the side challenge. There's a little more pressure.
That's right.
It weighs
more
on you.
Stress to it.
Weighs on you a tad bit. So I look forward to hearing some of those updates this week.
Don't play a second time.
That's true, but there's a good cast of regulars that have been there with me. So
if you play JSFL, the website has been updated to receive 2 vote-off choices for next week.
Mm-hmm. Good luck with that.
Yeah, for all of us.
You know what helps, though, that'll get you past the luck is...
the listener feedback show?
Exactly. What a great lead-in. You're a great straight person there for that. And feedback is due on Saturday. That's where we gather together, super fans, check in with everyone, and see what they're thinking about the season as a whole, who they think is going to go next. And that's going to be quite the challenge, obviously, with the double elimination as we look forward to 2 more great hours of Season 40 next week. The voicemail line for sharing your thoughts and your predictions, 206-350-1547. There's a toll-free option, 844-643-8737. And then there's email, joanneandstacyshow@gmail.com. If you're not comfortable with your voice being out there, you can write it up, and either Joanne or I or read it into the show on your behalf. And if you want to, you can record your own and possibly get the much better quality option over the greater convenience option of voicemail. Just make sure you're aware of where your phone is or whatever you're using to record, and you're not holding it or covering the mic or anything like that. And you can get a really good voice sample in for your feedback. We look forward to hearing from you. It's due noon Pacific time on Saturday. Whether you're writing or recording or calling, keep it in that 3-minute range so we can fit everyone in. Again, fantastic listener feedback shows this season. We've been having a blast, and we'd love to have you come be a part of that.
2 more weeks.
And it's over, huh?
Woo. Yeah. But, again, still got 5 hours.
Yes.
In the next 2 weeks.
Let's look at it that way.
Survivor.
That's right.
It's like I like to look at it that way.
I want to end on this, so we got to think of something else to say afterwards. But you came up with a theory today.
I did?
Yes, you said The Amazing Race is not going to air immediately after Survivor. They're putting something else in, and you said that might be because we're not going to get a Survivor in the fall, and they're banking on having Amazing Race.
I'm not the only
then.
one that thought that. There were other people. But, yeah, that was my first thought when I saw the article and came up, and I went, oh, man, they're saving it because Survivor's not going to be ready.
So here's how I just bring it around. We'll circle back and say, come, let's make the most of what we got now. Come be a part of that listener feedback show. Get your feedback in early if you can. We love being able to get it all prepped and ready to go versus getting waylaid on Saturdays.
41, even if it's not.
Oh, you're talking about season 41.
Yes, season 41, even if it's not on time. But that was my first thought. Was like,
you may not have another one in the fall. possible.
They're bringing in 2 new shows to replace where
Amazing
they were
Race.
going to put the Amazing Race. But
on Wednesdays at 8.
yeah, and I thought, well, and they did say it would air later in the year, and I thought, well, they could play them
Part of their fall
back
season.
to back
Yeah.
to really get us back in there. So we won't hold that thought firm.
Yes.
But it did cross my mind.
Right now, we're focused on what's happening in this amazing season, and we look forward to hearing from you. Anything you need to add?
Don't think so.
Have a good one.
Good night, everybody.